impossible to know at the moment.
Yeah.
It really, I hope we're in the mix. I think we all look like, apart from Mercedes, all look like we're quite close.
Yeah.
But we don't know what fuel loads people are on. You know, there's whispers of certain fuel loads that Mercedes are on. There's whispers of extra power that they have that the rest of us don't. The compression ratio sort of thing. So, you know, hopefully that gets sorted and the FIA take care of that, make sure that we're all starting on the playing field.
Yeah, okay.
And then
Can a single week define the fate of an entire season? Ferrari has brought everything to Bahrain. A new car, a revolutionary engine, and Lewis Hamilton in search of redemption. But nothing has gone as expected. What is really happening inside Maranello? The SF26 that Ferrari has taken to Bahrain represents more than just a simple evolution with respect to the car that rolled in Barcelona. In reality, we are looking at a car that embodies a complete reinterpretation of the Scuderia's technical concept, embodied in a Spec B package that is no longer a promise, but a tangible reality put to the test on the most demanding circuit for the rear axle of the entire calendar. The idea behind Spec B is based on a clear conviction. There is no more room for fragmented developments or mid-season corrections. Ferrari has chosen to directly launch the version that, in theory, should already have the base elements that they will use in the race. This implies a much more integrated and aggressive design philosophy. The engine, energy recovery unit, ERS, chassis, aerodynamics, and cooling have been conceived as a whole from the conceptual phase. It's not about adding new parts to the old car. It is about building the car from the beginning with a coherent roadmap, without internal contradictions or dependencies on improvised adjustments. This new approach has brought with it a series of modifications that go far beyond what is visible. One of the key points is the flat bottom of the car and its interaction with the rear diffuser. Ferrari has worked to generate more downforce without increasing drag, and has done so by optimizing airflow from the edges of the floor to the rear. This implies new vortex management channels and greater efficiency of the so-called ground effect. The stability SOT is especially critical in slow corners, where the load is often more difficult to maintain, and in Bahrain, with its numerous hard braking and sudden changes of direction, this behavior is mercilessly tested. Intensive work has also been done on the design of the side pontoons, which now show a more compact architecture, aimed at channeling the airflow towards the diffuser without compromising internal cooling. This redesign is not only aesthetic. Ferrari has reduced the volume of the cooling system, opting for more efficient radiators and a more aggressive layout, which frees up space to optimize aerodynamics without the engine being forced to operate at critical temperatures. This decision is doubly risky on a circuit like Sakir, where asphalt temperatures exceed 45 degrees and thermal stress is extreme. The rear axle, another critical area, has been completely redesigned. It's not just about holding traction. You also have to keep rear tire temperatures under control during race simulations, something the SF24 didn't do consistently. On the SF26, the rear suspension architecture has been tuned to offer greater load sensitivity, resulting in a wider operating window for the compounds. The goal: keep the tire alive without destroying it, something essential for one-stop strategies that could define entire races. And even more striking is the focus on reliability. Ferrari has decided to use the same power unit during all test days without rotating it. This strategy sends a very clear message. They are confident that they not only have a fast engine but one that can last. In today's Formula One, where tokens and penalties for component changes continue to determine championships, making an engine perform at a high level and maintain its integrity during long runs is a brutal competitive advantage. But it's also a high-risk move. Any failure could not only affect the car's performance, but also derail the entire development plan leading up to the start of the season. For this reason, in the paddock, the Spec B is talked about not as a simple update, but as a declaration of intent. Ferrari is not waiting to see what others bring before reacting. It is setting a direction from the beginning, with an ambitious, cohesive, and ready-to-execute technical proposal. If the plan works, they will have gained weeks or even months of development over their rivals. If it fails, there is no safety net. But that is precisely what makes this Bahrain test a crucial chapter for the Scuderia. It's not just the success of a car that is at stake here. The credibility of an entire project is at stake. Lewis Hamilton is no stranger to adversity. But what he experienced on his first official day of testing with Ferrari in Bahrain was not simply a bad day, but the first real impact of what it means to change teams after more than a decade at Mercedes. And that shock was deeper than many expected. In the previous days, everything around Hamilton was surrounded by an almost mythological aura. His signing for Ferrari was not only a media bomb, it was perceived as the beginning of a new era. A multiple world champion in a car that had been chasing glory for years. The narrative sold hope, but the track as always brought reality. From his first laps in Sakir, Hamilton began to show signs of discomfort. Spins at low speed, unexpected blocking during short braking and erratic reactions of the rear axle began to appear even in conservative runs. Nothing serious on a technical level, but indicative of a disconnection between the pilot and the machine. What caught the most attention among the engineers was not the lack of rhythm itself that was to be expected in an adaptation stage, but the way in which these errors frequently appeared in curves where the car, in the hands of Leclerc, showed greater stability. This exposed an underlying technical issue. The behavior of the SF20SIXS rear axle is tuned for a very specific driving style. One that Hamilton for now does not master. And that nuance is more important than it seems. Ferrari, for its part, has been very cautious in its analyses. Vasseur and those in charge of the track have insisted that the process is normal, that the plan always included a technical and emotional acclimatization phase. But in the paddock, no one is naive. When your star driver begins the pre-season at the limit of error, while his partner maintains stability on long runs, nuances become data. And the data under pressure. The most revealing thing about this first day was not the times. It was the sensations. The lack of confidence, the need to change the braking style, the adaptation to the rear axle and the hybrid train, all point to the same diagnosis. Hamilton will not be able to cut shortcuts in this process. He will have to unlearn and relearn. He will have to rebuild himself as a driver within a new technical universe. And that process will not be automatic, nor comfortable, nor guaranteed. But if he can cross that bridge, if he can find the fusion point between his talent and the SF26, what may emerge from that bond could be devastating for his rivals. Day one has been a brutal reminder of what it means to start over. But it has also been the first page of a story that still has much to be written. When a team like Ferrari decides to launch an advanced version of its Spec B car in the preseason and pair it with a figure like Lewis Hamilton, it is not only betting on a technical project. He is betting on a narrative, on a vision. And as with any big bet, the margin of error is extremely small. Bahrain has been, in that sense, the first battlefield where not only the strengths of Ferrari's plan begin to be revealed, but also the hidden risks that could redefine its entire season. The first and most obvious is the conceptual rigidity of the SF26. By designing a car so integrated with an architecture where the engine, aerodynamics and mechanical balance depend on each other in an almost symbiotic way, Ferrari has created a closed system. If one of those pieces fails, there are no simple adjustments that can be made without compromising the whole. For example, if during the next few weeks they detect that the Spec B diffuser generates instability in low-speed corners, they cannot simply change it for one of the previous geometry without altering the overall balance of the airflow and the interaction with the flat bottom and the Venturi channels. That is, any correction implies redesign, and that costs time. Time that in a 24-race season can make the difference between winning or being left behind in just 3 weekends. But the deepest risk is perhaps the least visible, the risk of not failing but also not standing out. In today's F1, with such small performance differences, simply being competitive is not enough. Ferrari needs the SF26 to not only perform, but to be able to adapt, evolve and dominate in different conditions. A car that is fast in Bahrain but inefficient in Monaco or Montreal is not a champion car. Technical versatility is today as important as pure speed. And if the Spec B was born with development limits, the window for success is dramatically shortened. On the other hand, Leclerc seems to be comfortable, almost too comfortable. He knows the car, he knows the team, and he masters the technical language that Ferrari has been speaking for years. But that advantage can become a source of tension if the team fails to balance attention between both drivers. Let's not forget that the Ferrari 2026 project is not designed to support a specific driver, but to build a winning platform. But in Formula One, internal policies are often defined by what happens on the track, and a small performance gap can become a strategic crack. Bahrain has been just the beginning, but a beginning with clear signs. The car has speed, it has reliability, it has a plan. But it also has limits that are not yet fully known. And it has a pilot in full personal transformation. In this phase, each completed lap is not just technical information, it is time gained from chaos. Because the season doesn't wait. There is no longer any room for slow iterations or eternal learning curves. Leave me in the comments what you think about all this.